Hello everybody, it's Nicola at Trentham Invest with your portfolio update for July 2024. Today it's Friday the 5th of July, and for those of you who know me, I've had dogs for about 20 years now, and my first one was Herman, and it would have been his birthday today. He would have been 18, so we have memories for him. You might hear a little rustle in the background, and that's probably because there's Leo and Paris with me in the room today. So what we're going to be talking about today on the portfolios, what are the key issues I've been hearing from people, what are the concerns, and what are the things that you're looking for to give you less anxiety, more peace of mind and more comfort for your future. Few things I'd like to cover. First of all, we all know there's a new government that's been announced today. Labour has come in with a landslide, and I've had a lot of questions about, well, what's going to happen with the pension legislation, and are they going to be tinkering with that again? In the middle of June, we looked at the manifesto for both parties, and both of them said that they were not going to tinker with any of the new legislation that has come in. It is significant from the announcement from April last year, April 23, about the removal of the lifetime allowance and the implications of that. And it's significant and it's really big. We're taking everybody through their personal journeys about how it impacts them, and everyone's different. And what you think in terms of what might be affecting you is probably the opposite when you get your results. So I think touching anything to do with pensions, cash allowances and so on, I don't think they will touch any of that. History, any change of pension legislation, when the new rules have come in, it's all about treating pots and accrual going forward. It's never been retrospective. So I doubt very much that any of you with your contracts where you've got cash allowances that you've still got left, there's no need to panic and think, gosh, I better get it out before they change the rules. I hope that does give you some comfort. I've been nearly 30 years in the world of pensions and legislation. It's vast, it's challenging, it's complicated, but every single time the rules have changed, it's been from that day going forward. The world, the markets, and how it reacts to announcements shouldn't be too volatile. We had an announcement in September 22 of a lot of spending that was unfunded, and that knocked the market significantly. The impact was very negative on government debt and government gilts. So I think there's a lot of talk about spending, but funded spending. If we then go on to inflation, inflation has come down and it's settled down over the last few years. Prices have gone up, but those prices are generally not going to increase anymore, but they're set to remain. Interest rates are still at a higher level, about just over 5%, with inflation down at about 2%, and we should see those interest rates, or so word has it, that they will be down by the end of the year. So how does that impact the allocation and the content of a portfolio? If we're looking at cash rates at which are set to come down, then there's going to be more allocation of monies from cash into fixed interest and corporate bonds. So we should see that going forward. Where else around the world? We've got China. There's still a lot of political issue to solve in that country, so that's still going to have question marks over it. And yeah, for those of you who have moved onto the discretionary management system, where we've appointed Stuart Clark as the portfolio manager and the oversight of those portfolios, I was very blessed to have a meeting with him yesterday and discussing with him and a few people of his team about his track record, how he's doing, how the funds are doing. And for those of you who've made the transition, I'm extremely confident with the choice that we've made. The performance of his goes from strength to strength. His 10-year track record is really excellent. In terms of looking for funds and how does one make sure that they've got a good managed investment portfolio, one that's going to weather the financial storms that come along, it's really about continuing with doing the basics. The basics being, look at the metrics, look at the data, look at what's happening, and picking those good fund managers who are excellent at what they do. You want a team that is really good at its core. And as long as that team and each person in the team sticks with its core mandate and its core tasks and doesn't stretch over the line, then that's really where depth of experience and depth of specialism comes to its own. It's when people cross the line, take on too much, go too thin in their knowledge, then it does impact on what you do. We've been researching the funds across the board this week, and our research methodology is as strong as it's been. We've found new ways of picking out the top managers and the top people by simple things using Adobe, highlighting, and looking at metrics. And it's not everybody who's going to they're going to be top on 5 different metrics. You might get 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. But how do you identify that when you've got a list of 50? Well, we found a simple way of doing that, and it's colouring in. Really basic things, but we do those extremely well. Next 6 months ahead, stick with the basics. We've still got our risk of scale from 1 to 10. Portfolio start at 3, 3 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. We're looking at the allocation, we're looking at cash, we're looking at the asset allocation across the board, keeping things diversified and making sure that the investment managers and the portfolio manager that we've selected, Stuart Clark, is doing the same, and he and his team are doing that as well. Those people who've got concerns about the new pension legislation, our ears are to the ground. We are shoulders with head of pensions at Quilter, and their shoulders with head of HMRC. Thank you for your time and listening today, and thank you for Paris for joining us too.